Hello everyone. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at an article from NPR that was published on March 15th and was written by Carrie Johnson. Now, the reason why I'm covering this article is because you have these lawyers freaking out that the facade of justice being blind and not being political and being independent of the political branch of our government, the facade of that has completely fallen to the wayside, and they don't like it. As N nears to Mueller era, D.C. lawyers fear lasting politicization of justice. Politicization. Say that 10 times fast. Anyways, so yeah, you have a situation where they're looking at the fact of this is Oz. The curtain's been lifted, and people are seeing the situation for what it is. The whole Mueller situation was political. It was political by its very nature. Trump won the election, and they couldn't have that, so they literally created an investigation with a Hillary shill running it to try to go after the president on bullshit, trumped-up charges. Well, I'm assuming that's what they were going to try to do when they found out that there was nothing to their accusations. So anyway, this was updated at 3:45 p.m. on the 15th. But yeah, let's just get into the article here. Members of Washington's elite legal community decried the increasing politicization of the justice system at a particularly sensitive time as the special counsel probe of Russian election interference edges towards a conclusion. Increasing politicization. Excuse me, but the Democrats and the left created that situation. When they decided to form this with the deep state, this witch hunt against a sitting president because he won an election fair and square. That is on your guys' fault. You lawyers on the left, you Trump deranged dipshits that are part of the whole Mueller thing, the deep state, the Democrats, all of you, that's your own fault. You're the ones who politicized the legal system. You're the ones who politicized justice, or kangaroo court style justice, or that's what you hoped you would have had. This is ridiculous. Abe David Lowell, a veteran of high-profile cases who has defended members of Congress and cabinet officials, lamented that public confidence in the FBI, the Justice Department, and the rule of law itself has waned, even as he offered praise for Robert Mueller, the man leading the Russia investigation. Well, let's see why. Oh, well, let's see. Confidence in the FBI is complete shit because of the fact of you had it illegally investigating a president on bullshit charges, bullshit accusations, bullshit intelligence, like the Steele Piss dossier, where he's paying Russian hookers to piss on a bed that Obama and Michelle slept in, or I should say Michael slept in. And while they're pissing on the bed, he's going to go into the bathroom and say that he hates black people. That's what you use to go after Trump, the discredited Steele Piss dossier, you people on the left. And you wonder why, when the FBI is using that to go after a sitting president, why there's an erosion of the confidence in the FBI. And when the Justice Department starts an investigation based off of that with a rubber-stamped FISA warrant. Yeah, there's going to be people who take issue with the Justice Department and see the erosion of its credibility. The rule of law itself has waned. Give me a break. You people, you lawyers, you abuse the law. You have Mueller abusing the law. You have the Democrats abusing the law. They're trying to use it to take a legitimately elected president down because they didn't like that he won. They're the ones that have looked at the rule of law and thumbed their noses up at it, not the American people. And why are you offering praise to Robert Mueller? I don't get that. I mean, I understand that you are representing Kushner, you know, the son-in-law of Trump, but don't be sucking Mueller's dick like you're doing here, because this is ridiculous. If he did that and he was my lawyer and I was Kushner, I would fire his ass in 2 freaking seconds. Because when he's sucking Mueller's dick like he is, it makes you wonder if he's actually going to represent you with the full vigor that he should. I don't know of a special counsel who's done it better, Lowell said at an event with other top lawyers on Thursday evening. Dude, Mueller hasn't done it better. He hasn't found a goddamn thing. He has been on an investigation brought about by fraudulent evidence, proven fraudulent evidence. The Piss dossier was the basis for this whole investigation. And you're saying you don't know anyone who's done it better? Well, considering he had used fraudulent information as the basis for this investigation, he ain't doing a good job. Sorry, but he isn't. He added that he also has great confidence in the career public servants and the new team led by Attorney General William Barr at the Justice Department. Excuse me, I have a problem with career public servants. They've never worked a day in the real world, most of them. The ones in the middle management types especially. These people, they are, part of the government, the union, government employee union. They tend to vote Democrat. They more than clearly show that they were anti-Trump, as we've seen with a lot of them. And you want to say that you have great confidence in them? I have absolutely no confidence in them. I do not trust anyone who is in the government on that type of level, who is a deep state career bureaucrat. I don't trust them. No one should trust a career bureaucrat. Not in politics. I mean, Barr, I kind of trust him, but he's not a career, public servant or, deep state bureaucrat. Lowell, who is representing President Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, said Mueller had conducted the nearly 2-year-old investigation with great integrity. Bullshit. He literally used the fact that you had, like Flynn, for example. He stated one thing that he honestly believed to the FBI. Come to find out, he had made an honest mistake, and they nailed him for lying to the FBI. That's integrity? That's not fucking integrity. That's being a shit-eating scumbag. If I was Kushner, this guy would be gone. This guy would be fired in 2 seconds. After hearing this shit, I'd be like, dude, it's clear that you're not going to represent me to your fullest ability when you're sucking his dick. You're fired. All right, I would, if I was Kushner, I would do it like the father-in-law. I'd be like, you're fired. I'd be like, get the fuck out of here. You're fired. You are fired. Bye. See ya. But Lowell also said he worried that no matter what the special counsel determines soon, those findings will be filtered through the political lens of lawmakers in the big white dome down the street from the Justice Department. Oh, you think? Considering that the whole investigation was started on political reasons, you think that they're going to do that? Of course they're going to do that. Jesus Christ, you don't have to be, a psychic to figure that one out. You could be the dumbest fuck on the planet these days and figure that shit out. Jesus H. Christ. Members of Congress have battled over the Justice Department and FBI since not long after Mueller's appointment, accusing it of conspiracies and cover-ups. Oh, well, maybe because there has been proof that there's been that type of shit going on. Like, I don't know, FISA warrants being issued on a discredited Piss dossier. But there's no corruption. None whatsoever. You got people misrepresenting it to the FISA court judge. You've got stroke, rubber stamping shit with it. Yeah, there's no corruption. Senator Lindsey Graham renewed his call this week for a second special counsel to look into what he called the department's transgressions. And there should be one. But you see, the Democrats and the left and the legacy media, the fifth estate, as they like to refer to themselves, because they think they're part of the government, and they're not. They don't want that, because then it will be exposed just how corrupt and how sleazy and how shady and how mafioso these politicians are, especially on the note of the Democrats that are behind this. They do not want that out there. So, lawyers look into the mirror. I love this subtitle. Well, if they looked into the mirror and saw how scummy they are, that old joke of, what's 1,000 lawyers at the bottom of the ocean, they would be jumping off a pier to make it true. Lowell and other panelists agree that defense lawyers themselves can also contribute to the unhealthy and polarized environment. Defense lawyers? Oh, really? So I love how they single out the defense lawyers and not Mueller with the shit that they've pulled. Not the New York federal attorney, U.S. attorney, I mean, with his shady shit and basically blackmailing Cohen and going, well, look, we'll nail you on this if you don't plead out to this, which he pled out to something that wasn't even a crime in regards to Stormy Daniels, and then proved what an idiot he was when he was basically like, oh yeah, well, all these payments here that were part of my retainer, for my fees. Yeah, that was Trump secretly paying her off, like trying to cover his ass. I mean, this is just ridiculous. You don't look at the fact that, he had to do that to cover his ass because, the sleazy attorneys were basically holding him by his balls saying, oh, you could plead out to this and we'll give you a sweet deal. Oh, we'll royally fuck you. But it's the defense lawyers. Give me a break. And I'm not a fan of defense attorneys. Their comments followed only hours after an attorney for former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort erroneously said that two judges handling his case have found there was no collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia. Well, they kind of did admit that. See, they didn't directly admit it, but they, because if it was there and it was evidence, it would have been presented. What the judges said was that because Manafort's case hadn't involved allegations about collusion, they didn't opine about it one way or another. Yeah, but see, there's a slight problem to that. There's a slight flaw to that. The whole reason why he was being investigated, the whole reason why he was charged was for the fact of this supposed belief of collusion. He was investigated under the grounds of collusion. To say, well, the judge is saying that there was no evidence being brought, guess what? That means there was no evidence. There was no charges filed. So that's technically correct. Sorry, but it is. The remarks, however, triggered an immediate and public reaction in a chaotic scene outside the federal courthouse Wednesday. Lawyer Kevin Downing was shouted down by protesters who said he was lying. Bill Christensen, a self-described activist on democracy and climate issues who became a familiar figure at many Mueller-related court proceedings, later posted an explanation on Twitter. Now, this is what's funny. All right. They take this hippie leftist, and the guy literally was making his bones off of the Mueller thing, showing up like he was. That's what he was trying to do. And they're helping him here. I yelled, that's not what she said. And you aren't lawyers, you are liars. I revere lawyers. Dictators target them. And I know the mics are not for me. Downey lied. I used my First Amendment rights. I do not apologize, but I also do not anticipate ever doing that again. Who gives a shit, dude? You're some old, washed up fucking hippie. You're a fucking boomer. And you think people give a shit about what you say. You're almost as bad as the millennial leftists. You seriously are. I mean, hell, you're a fucking tree hugger, for Christ's sake, on top of it all. Back at the lawyers' event, which took place at the Cosmos Club, longtime former prosecutor Mary Patrice Brown advised the audience to stay tuned, since she said Judge Amy Berman Jackson, who presided over the Manafort case, may yet respond to Downing's remarks with some action. Yeah, we'll see. look at this. She's clearly on the fact of Trump derangement. She's clearly on the fact of, because they don't want that out there, because the judge in essence said that. Because they're saying, well, there was no charges being brought on the note of collusion. That's because even though he was being investigated for collusion, they did not find any. So technically what he said was correct. So if the judge goes after him on this, I'm going to laugh my ass off, because if he appeals it, you never know. He'll probably get thrown out, because that's literally what the judge is getting down to, saying, well, we didn't have any charges of collusion. Well, why? Oh, because there was no evidence of it? Okay. Good to know. Jason Maloney, a spokesman for Manafort and his legal team, told NPR in an email that anyone triggered by Downing's comments should go back and review this case. Yes. Because the investigation started under the idea of collusion, that there was collusion. They were going to find collusion. They had proof to start the investigation, which they didn't have proof to start the investigation. This whole thing should have been thrown out of court, because they went under the investigation under the false pretense of collusion, using evidence that was not actual evidence. So anything found based on that bullshit investigation should be thrown out of court. But they'll never do that. I mean, this investigation was started under false pretenses. The founding fathers never intended for someone to be convicted of another crime because they were under investigation for one that was brought up under false pretenses. They never intended that. Maloney continued, Russian collusion certainly seemed to be lurking in the background in both cases against Manafort. Yeah. That was the whole intent of investigating him. Russian collusion. But when offered the opportunity to substantiate their claims and present evidence, the Office of Special Counsel offered none. Yeah, exactly. Jackson is correct. Russian collusion was not before the court in D.C. That's because no charges made by the OSC related to collusion with Russian officials. Exactly. So the judge was basically saying, hey, there was no charges being brought. Like I said, technically correct. What he said about the judge saying. A history of political attacks. The strategy of attacking the Justice Department or the system itself is hardly new, said panelist Peter Messite, a federal judge in Maryland who was appointed to the bench by President Bill Clinton. Oh, God. Slick Bill? Slick Will? Fucking Slick Willie? Yeah. Okay. A judge appointed by him. I'm not saying he's corrupt, but a lot of them turned out to be, not exactly constitutional judges who followed the law. So I don't know if we should trust him or not. It's just my opinion. Messite pointed to the former Vice President Spiro Agnew launched... I'm sorry. They got to pull up Spiro Agnew to try to compare it to Trump. There's no fucking comparison. Messite pointed out that former Vice President Spiro Agnew launched blistering verbal assaults against prosecutors while he was under investigation on allegations of bribery and other crimes in the Nixon era. Well, maybe because he was possibly doing those things, and him calling them out, whether he, it was because it was a possibility he was doing those things, and him calling them out, that's his right. That's First fucking Amendment. For him to call them out, that's his right. And they're acting like, oh, well, he was a verbal assault. Odds are he was guilty of the tax evasion. I mean, but hey. Oh, or bribery. I'm sorry. I thought it was tax evasion. Why did I say tax evasion? I meant to say bribery. I just read bribery. Holy shit, I apologize for that. I know why. Because that's their usual go-to. And right here. He pled no contest to a charge of Spiro T. Agnew pleaded no contest to a charge of income tax evasion after attacks against the judicial system. Yeah. He yeah, tax evasion. He was guilty. Oh, he pled out to that. But yeah, he has a right to call out the prosecutors. regardless of that, whether he's innocent or guilty. It's called free speech, baby. All the same, Messite said, in 34 years on the bench at the state and federal level, I have never really seen a case of partisan prosecution. Oh, really? 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 So you don't consider the whole witch hunt with Trump and Flynn and Manafort and his right-hand guy. Oh, what the hell's his name? But you don't consider that a partisan prosecution? Dude, if you honestly believe that, you should not be on the bench. If you don't believe it, you're a liar and you shouldn't be on the bench. Either way, you shouldn't be on it. Robert S. Bennett, who famously defended President Clinton in the sexual harassment case brought by Paula Jones, told the audience in D.C. that he's still angry that independent counsel Robert Fisk was deposed by a panel of judges in favor of Kenneth Starr, whose sometimes salacious final report on Clinton provoked a significant backlash. Oh my God, because Kenneth Starr reported it and didn't play it down. Laid out all the facts, like Clinton, fucking Monica Lewinsky with a cigar and then smoking it after. Talking about her cum-stained dress and putting that in there. Okay, that's salacious. Screw you, dude. We know where you stand, where you defended Clinton. All that shit should have been out there. The American people had a right to know what he was doing when it came to the impeachment proceedings and why he was being impeached. Get bent. Bennett's remarks drew heavy laughter from the crowd. Oh, I wonder why. Probably because they're all laughing with him, but I'd be laughing at him myself. The event was sponsored by the law firm Searby LLP and American University's Washington College of Law. Yeah, so you have basically you have a bunch of attorneys here that don't like the fact that people are losing their faith and trust in the legal system, that they're losing their faith and trust in justice being blind when they've literally watched justice not being blind with Trump and associates that were part of his campaign or his administration. That's messed up, that instead of looking at the problem and saying, well, maybe these people have a point. They can't all be stupid. They can't all have this just delusional view of us. Maybe we should actually look at ourselves, see what's going on here, and try to correct their issues with us. But they don't want to do that. See, their basic mentality here is people are stupid and they're going to buy into this bullshit and they're not going to have any faith in us, and they should, because we're lawyers and judges and all that other stuff. We're the legal profession, and they shouldn't be upset with the FBI, who got caught doing a shady investigation on a sitting president the second he was elected. He won the election. They had already started investigating him. The Justice Department backing that shit up, pushing fake, FISA warrants, which, as far as I'm concerned, were fake FISA warrants because they were based off of a fake dossier, the PISS dossier, the Steele dossier. Instead of looking at that and saying, hey, people are seeing these things. And, they aren't exactly going well for us when the Justice Department is seen getting rubber stamped warrants and pushing this investigation along, and you get these members of the Justice Department and the FBI with their text messages saying things that clearly show they are biased. Oh, yeah, you wonder why people have an issue and have lost their not their faith, have lost their well, we'll say faith. It's not the right word, but it fits well enough. But they've lost their faith in the credibility of our legal system and those agencies that are involved in our judicial system. Yeah. Oh, can't have that. You don't understand there's a reason behind it, but you can't have it. Anyway, this is ridiculous. It truly is. These people, these elitist wannabe shitbags, instead of looking at the fact that the people have an issue Or they could have an issue.
Oh, well, it's the people are stupid and they're being politicized and they're being convinced to do, to buy into stupid shit, and they should have faith in us because, we're lawyers.
That's not how it works. Just because you're a lawyer doesn't mean I should fucking have faith or credibility, faith in your credibility, or that I should have faith in the justice system or the FBI. And the FBI, by the way, you talk about the FBI, but the FBI was corrupt as all hell, going back to the days of Hoover. Hoover used it as his personal spy agency so that he could blackmail and leverage people. Now, mind you, he was not a great man on that note. I mean, he was a scumbag, but at least he followed American law, U.S. law in running the department. When it came to, say, a situation like this, he wouldn't have pulled this shit. The FBI wouldn't have been running this way. He wouldn't have allowed this to happen. That should say a lot. When Hoover wouldn't have allowed this shit to happen. Anyway, I've covered this well enough. I'm just going to leave things here. If you liked this video, depending on where you are watching it, please give it an upvote or thumbs up. If you want to know when new content of mine hits the internet, don't forget to subscribe to one or more of my social media or video accounts listed here. Also, with YouTube, don't forget to ring that bell. You can find all of my video content on both BitChute and YouTube. This may not be the case with other places I upload to, but I will try to minimize this happening. You are always welcome to interact with me at any of these sites on the list, so feel free to do so. If you have anything you want me to cover in a video, when it comes to news or current events, send it right along to me. I will try to do my best to cover it. As always, thank you for watching.